So if you're looking to raise more capital, especially using social media and how to share with your database, check out this call with my friend, and that's exactly what we discussed. So it's an example of the things I'll be teaching, but applied to a specific person and example, and hope you can get ideas from that. I found this very helpful in my other coaching programs, so check it out. When they book a meeting, I just have them answer like all the questions that I always ask, like in the meetings. Like for example, where are you located? Are you in sub 2 or Gator? Are you an owner's club? What are you struggling with? How can I help you? Stuff like that. And then when they confirm, it sends them to a landing page where I have a short, like 2.5 minute video where I explain my story, because that's something that I usually end up doing anyways. So then that cuts out like 15 minutes of the time. So then now, instead of doing like in 2 hours, 4 meetings, I can do 8 meetings. So stuff like that, I'm just naturally think about. That's going to be what I'm doing, like 3 videos a week. That's my goal. Hopefully I can hold to that. So you can check that out later.
That's actually a really good idea. When we see, like, even like Case, like when you sign up for his, like one of his things, you do kind of get like a little story after answering some questions kind of about him and everything. God has been really good to me. He brought me this opportunity with this borrower, and I just don't want to lose what I have because I can't keep up with it. So I'm trying everything that I can to keep trying to find new people. I would love to be a part of this and see what you do. I would love to be a part of the school.
Yeah. I mean, even now, like that's why I scheduled like 30 minutes for us, because I want to just give you as much ideas, I would say, that hopefully can help you, that you can
Yeah.
implement immediately. So the social media stuff is that I would say just start posting. But then also, like, what type of deals does he do?
So that's the other thing too. So they're a little difficult. So they're sub 2 deals. They're co-living properties.
Okay, so it's co-living.
He's buying them sub 2. He's been working on making sure the properties have more equity, so it makes it easier to get some lenders.
Okay, are you local to this person or the properties?
No, he's in Florida.
Okay, can he take videos of the properties for you and send it to you?
Yeah, I could probably ask there's a property manager that's on them. I could ask them to do that. Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing I would do if I were you, because I think that's you have so much value to share. Like I would create content about just co-living. I think what works well with content is like people just want raw, organic, behind the scenes, kind of like Netflix, right? My brother told me one day, hey, I'm watching this Netflix series on like this golfer trying to go pro, and it's really good. I'm like, cool. And next week he's like, oh, I'm watching one on like a F1 driver trying to go pro or something like that. Another one like a tennis player. But my brother doesn't watch golf or tennis or F1 racing at all. But he'll watch like somebody's journey, kind of like the Michael Jordan Last Dance. I don't know if you saw that. Like we
Yeah.
saw the championships, we saw the press conferences, but that's so limited. But to hear Michael and the other people give us a behind the scenes, like that's cool. So I think what's really effective is just documenting the whole process. Meta level or high level, it's like it's always about leading with value, which a lot of it is education. And that's a huge draw of your content, because that's how you build trust. Because they're like, Dan is my go-to source who's educating me on real estate investing, giving me opportunities, financial literacy. Like literally every sub 2 module or Gator module, you can make like probably 3 pieces of content easy, right? But like even specifically with co-living, what I would do is just start a series on like, hey, I just want to share with you guys about co-living. And one thing could be like why co-living is necessary, like why there's an affordable housing solution, give some stats, give some whatever, talk about after the crash, builders were afraid to build. So there's a, underbuilding for 20 years now, probably, or 15 years or whatever. And then like what rents are like, and then how co-living, and then explain co-living, right? Co-living is this, because most people, they don't know what co-living is. Explain
Right.
what co-living is. And then you can even do the why co-living is a good real estate investment, and like, hey, this is why, because you can buy this home for this and then do this renovation, and here's all the utilities and stuff, you can rent out each room for this, and you can net this as a whatever, and say like, hey, co-living is actually the best way to get the max cash flow for rental properties, and like every little thing. And then that's like meta level of like, and you keep putting out content about that. And then also sub 2, right? Hey, we buy these subject to, this is, all the stuff about subject to. You can make all the videos that Pace makes, or all the subject to videos. And like one thought that I struggle with that some people have is like, well, Pace already did that, why do I have that, right? But if you go around and ask like 10 people, like just randomly off the street, or 10 of your friends or whatever, non-sub 2 members, like if they know what subject to is, how many people would know, out of 10, you think?
Probably none of them.
None, exactly. So that just goes to show. Same here, same with me. It just goes to show that it doesn't matter that Pace has 3,000 videos. Like there's still people around us who don't know. And that's really good value and content, because everybody wants to make more money. Everyone wants to get into real estate investing. Before I joined Sub 2 last March, my wife and I wanted to. I'm in the mortgage business. ChatGPT came out. I saw the writing was on the wall. My only idea of real estate investing was like fix and flips. That's all I knew about it. And that's probably like most people. So for you to be that person to educate people about, sub two co-living, all of that, that's what's gonna build the trust. And then you can then start documenting specific properties. You have 42 deals that you can talk about, or even these new deals, like you can like walk people through. Like, I mean, I don't know if you have access to that information, but you can probably get some of that from that person. I partner with this person and I raised the capital for them, but let me walk you through, like 42 of our deals, or we funded 42 deals, we closed 7. That's like a huge track record you can talk about. But you're like, hey, let me break down, maybe use a white dry erase board, and then let me break down this deal for you. And then each one of those can be all, you can do long, I don't know if you want to do long form, but you can do long form and chop it up, or you can just do like short form Instagram, like hook up your Facebook to your Instagram. So you put on post on Instagram, automatically goes to Facebook. But just start doing like little chunks, like, hey, I'm just going to talk about the, this deal, and I'm going to make a series. Like, how do we find this property? And just ask your guy to like give you some basics, and you just keep it high level. Like, hey, this property came to us for this, and this is how we negotiated the thing, or this is what we were talking, we were looking for. This is how we analyzed the deal. Like, I don't even know. I've never done co-living. So like, how do you even find the tenant, right? How do you manage a property with like 8 or 6 people living in there? What are the issues with co-living? What are the risks? So you can like literally break all of that stuff down, and then each property you can go into very specifics, and that way you're kind of walking people through. And then through that education, like 99%, like Pace says, of the people aren't going to go do it. They're not going to go find the properties. They're not going to manage it. Use ChatGPT to check like what you can say and not say on social media, because you can't like indirectly solicit for investments, because that's like a violation. But you can always say like, hey, if you're interested in learning more about co-living, comment this or DM me this, and then you can like, once you get them off the platform, then you can like mention like, hey, by the way, like we have some projects if you're interested in becoming a partner, and that's where you build your database. And then once you have like a relationship with them, then when you get these new deals, like what we do the foreclosures is we just send them out to like the to everybody. Another thing to do is like, if you have relationships, or your borrower has relationships with the people who rent the co-living properties, like if any of them would be open to doing like a short interview, which is make it simple. Like I just invite do a Zoom meeting, they do a Zoom, and I just have my editor edit it, and then just create content. Like, just because today's world, they did a study, and there's nothing more powerful than social proof in testimonials, more than like a New York Times bestseller or going on a TV show or channel. And if you can that's just another way to market what you're doing, but just from a different perspective. And having somebody talk about like, hey, I was having trouble finding rent or whatever, but this is co-living. And like, you can ask them like, hey, how is it living with co-living? Some people might think it's crazy with like 6 or 8 people, and then you can post that in Gator. So it's just different ways of telling the same story, trying to accomplish the same goal of getting you investors. But because you're doing it in engaging ways that offer value, then it's not like salesy.
Yeah, no, that's actually genius. I didn't even think of that. Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, no problem. It's all just by God's grace, stuff that I've kind of like, learned throughout the process. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, no, that helped a lot. I've got some work that I got to do. That was really helpful. Thank you, Josh.
Do you have an assistant or like a CRM you use?
I don't have an assistant. I do have a CRM. I use HubSpot, the free version. Jackson Pierce is kind of one of my partners. Me and him have kind of like a network of people built out that we can send stuff over to.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know Jackson. I saw him, he was the owner's club, and I met him in person. We're a great guy. I mean, I'm sure between both of you guys, don't you guys have like a huge database of people, like just your Gmail database or whatever?
Yes, we do. I can send you over an email that I send. It's not really doing what you're saying. I have to find a way to make it be more like valuable.
Yeah, I would say like try to send a value email once a week. And then what you can do is like, what I'm starting to do is with my team is like, if you post an Instagram reel, like that has some kind of value. And when I say value, like I share whatever, I share the most random things. Like I learned that you're not supposed to drink coffee until 90 minutes after you wake up. So I'm gonna like share that to people, because that's actually has a broader appeal. But you just want people to associate Dan as a person of value. Meaning every time I get an email from Dan, every time I see a reel from Dan on my feed, it's like, hey, I wonder what I'm going to learn from Dan today, right? Because otherwise, if you're just like selling, or just like if your emails or whatever or contacts are just asked, and it's like, okay, I wonder what Dan's going to sell me today, and you don't want that. To nurture your database, you can share value stuff. I mean, for now, you can like just share stuff, like you can ask ChatGPT. There's ChatGPT is so amazing. Like that's just, I use it for everything.
Yeah.
One huge value is like you can share like all of your experience with like in co-living, real estate subject to. Like I would send the email to everybody. It's like, hey, Dan and Jackson and I are our partners. We've done 42 deals, 42 co-living properties times like, I don't know, let's say 7 beds or whatever. It's like 280 people get affordable homes. We partner with investors. Again, this is just like make sure it's compliant. There's a way to say it, and the GPT will revise it for you. But hey,
Right.
we feel so blessed. We want to help people who either want to make more money, want to leave their W-2, or want to get into real estate investing. Like, let us know if you're interested, and we'll send you like our cheat sheet or our guide. Ask ChatGPT to create something for you, and then just get people to opt in. Like, give them a very micro, easy yes to do, and then right there, those are like your people. That's like your next group of investors. But then let people know, like that'll set the frame of like why you're gonna start emailing people, and then that way you can email them once a week. I think that's a good rhythm because it's not too much, but once a week it can be like a value thing. Once a week's like, hey, by the way, these are just like deals we're working on. Like, just want to throw it out there. We can definitely use more partners to help us provide more affordable housing. And then one week, you can create a cadence, right? Like a month, there's 4 weeks. One could be a value, one could be testimonial from a thing, one could be like, hey, I'm going to break down a deal for you guys this week. And here's a breakdown, a video. You can do a long form video with your phone and just like, hey, I'm going to break down this blah, blah, blah. I think that's like super. That's probably the most impactful. That's the most valuable to your people. Or like what my creative director said, you can even every week, if you can, have 4 of those. Like have a value thing that's random, have a testimonial, have a deal breakdown. You have 42 deals, right? So why not break down every single one and then have like some kind of like real estate tip or sub 2 tip or some kind of other like real estate tip. And then so some people might like open it because they want the random coffee tip. Some people might want the underwriting on the deals, or even tell people how to underwrite a deal. I don't know if you know how to do that, but people, that'll be interesting. Just like throw in as much value as you can of different kinds, and that way you're just casting like a wider net. And then that way people will start opening your emails and start like building that trust. And then your deals of the week, right? Hey, by the way, here's our deals of the week too. So it doesn't seem like you're emailing them to present your deals. You're emailing to present the value. But hey, we're doing deals. These are the deals of the week. So if you're interested, let us know. And then I think naturally that's your lowest hanging fruit right there.
That's awesome. That's such a good idea. I'm definitely going to implement something like that. I'm going to work on that. That's what I got to do. I got to start working on that.
But yeah, I mean, I would really encourage you to like start your social media, because that's what's going to allow you long term to scale and build your Pace always says, right? Those are all your clones. And then what I'm doing right now is building a website, because I want all of it to have one source of truth across my platforms. Or if I go on somebody's podcast or whatever, I just want to direct everybody to my website. And the reason I want to do a website is they can see who I am. The first page is just about me, but I'm also going to have my deals on another page where they can see all the deals that's closed, all the deals that are open, investor testimonials, homeowner testimonials, our deal structure, people on our team, like just everything related to our deals. And you could do the same. But then also like my capital raising class is going to be there free. And then also like all of this random value that I'd like to share, I'm just going to put it in different categories, whether it's like mindset or like health or like Christian resources. Like these are like my top 4 pastors I like to listen to, Christian books, or here's my favorite books because I love to read. So something to consider down the line, like as you build out your social media, and just give them like one source of truth that you can drive all traffic to. And then whether that for now that can be your Instagram, or if you can build a website easily, that could take a lot of time. So maybe you don't want to do website right now. Maybe start with the newsletter we talked about, because in your situation where you want the most income like quick, I think you already have a huge network of people who know, like, and trust you that would invest if you just kind of build that trust with the way. But eventually, just something to think about. I would definitely start social media, but then on your newsletter too, you can start like including your social media links as you do it. Like post whatever value you're gonna share with them, like the random value or like whatever value. But like here's the underwriting on a deal, or here's the breakdown of a deal, but then like put it on your social, and then include the link on your social. So then your email blast that goes to probably thousands of people, they're gonna see it, but then it's also gonna drive traffic to increase your social media pages.
Yeah, that's that's awesome. I'm definitely going to do that. I got to build out a more professional Instagram, and I got a couple things I got to work on, but I'm definitely going to do that for sure. This was awesome, Josh. You had some great ideas. This is kind of what I needed. I needed someone to just kind of kick me in the right direction. I really appreciate that.
Awesome, brother. Dude, I mean, again, all glory to God. And yeah, keep in touch, man. Like, thanks for reaching out. I really just feel honored. If you have any other questions, like just, hit me up. Oh, last thing I'll share with you is voice memo, because I have one more minute before the thing. But do you use voice memos at all?
No,
Okay, so 2 things that are game changers are voice texts. Like, do you use voice text?
no,
Okay, so you know how we get a bunch of texts and stuff, right? So number one, like you should block off your time, especially now that you don't have your W-2, because most of the stuff we do is not that urgent, right? We don't have
right.
to respond to it probably within, an hour or two. By the way, have you read Jim Quick's book Limitless?
Mm-mm, I haven't.
Okay. I would totally read that because that's such an amazing book. But basically, like for us to do really productive work, our brains get into a state of flow. But flow, it takes us 15 to 45 minutes to get into. But then all our notifications and responding to text and multitasking, it just saps our energy and keeps us from getting into flow. And every time our brain has to change context from a text message to an email to what we're doing, it takes up a lot of energy. So what I do is I block out time. Like I'm going to work for an hour, I'm going to work for an hour and a half or 2 hours, and I'll not look at my phone, or even when people think I'm not going to respond, and then like during my breaks I'll respond, and then try the voice memo. You have an iPhone?
Yes.
Okay, so if you open up your text message, which I think you can, because on the bottom right there's that little microphone thing. If you just click that and you just talk to it, like you can talk so much faster than you can type.
Yeah, no, that is true. That is something that I got to utilize a bit better too.
So literally I'll just go through and like even with DMs and stuff, I'm just gonna do, and sometimes emails, and then that way like you can fully express yourself, but then it's so fast in typing. Number two is like now if you open up your text, you see that plus thing right there on top of the queue.
Yeah.
If you click on plus and you see there should be a button like audio, the red button.
Uh-huh.
You click
Yeah.
that and it records like a voice memo. So those are super good to send something that's a little bit more personal and like gives you a really good touch with your investors. Because what I do is like, let's say for investors, we'll send out our deals, but then my EA will actually text everybody, and it'd be good for you to do that too once you have your investor list or like the people who opt in. And I would say like, hey, just want to let you know, I sent out our latest newsletter with some of our deals, like no pressure at all, but just want to share in case you or somebody you know may be interested. And then just like blast it to everybody. And then the people who respond, I'll send that, like my EA will send that, but I'll send a voice memo just like, hey Dan, like great to hear from you, brother. Like hope you're doing well. Just want to check in and see how you're doing with this or that. You know, things are going good with me, and you know, blah blah. And just try to like genuinely like show some care and appreciation. Like, hey, we really appreciate your partnership and helping us make an impact with affordable housing. Yeah, let us know please if we can help you with anything. And then you'll be surprised that you can say a whole bunch of stuff, and it's all about the tone and the heart you put behind it, which I know you have a great heart and you're a great guy, you and Jackson. But then that you'll be surprised, like usually it's like 45 seconds. And then you can do that at scale because you can like touch like 20, 30, 50 people in like a very short amount of time where you don't have to hop on a phone call, because those, you know, those are hard to schedule and all that stuff. And even with like me and my team, voice memos are awesome. Like, so between you and Dan or you and the borrower, if there's something that needs to be said that needs a little bit more like care or whatever, like we just send voice memos back and forth or do voice text, but voice memos or whatever, so that they can listen to it on their time, they can reply. So it's basically having a phone conversation but asynchronously, and then it's also just like easier.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna try to start doing that. And you're right, it does kind of make it more personal. Like even when you did it with me today, I was like, oh, like it's good to hear you. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
no,
yeah, I did that for you. Yes, exactly.
I really appreciate it, Josh. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, glory to God, man, and like thanks for reaching out, and let's just keep in touch, you know, and then I'm here to help you whatever I can, brother.